Coach Victor Robledo here today, and today I'm going to talk to you about why you can't lose weight and some of the solutions, simple solutions that you can do to amplify it. And it's more than just calories in, calories out. Yes, that's a valuable thing to understand, but if you are in severe dis-ease, there's a good chance you can not eat very little and nothing's going to happen, especially right at the beginning. So let's jump into it. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe this video to send it out to other people who are probably hurting. This talk is really about leaky gut and what that can create. And so when you have severe problems with your GI health, you end up with leaky gut. What is leaky gut? Let's keep it real simple. Leaky gut is when you have permeability issues with your gut lining. Victor, what does that mean? That means particles of food are getting from inside, where all the poopy is, getting out into the bloodstream. So leaky gut can wreak havoc on an entire body. Your inflammatory markers go up, your cortisol goes through the roof, and by that default, your testosterone drops. And so when I treat a lot of people for leaky gut, adrenal fatigue, it's the chicken or the egg. Which one came first? If you're extremely emotionally upset, does it affect your stomach? Yeah, try being stressed for prolonged periods of time and trying to eat food. Oh, your stomach hurts. And so it's very difficult to know which one came first, but if we start treating and respecting the gut, where the vast majority of neurotransmitters associated with feeling happy and good are located, is it a huge stretch of the imagination to think that you're going to have trouble feeling good about yourself, feeling happy, feeling motivated enough? And so we always talk about motivation and discipline, and certainly that's a big part of this. But a lot of people are so in the hole, they're drowning, they can't get their heads above water to even have the perspective like, all right, my head's above the water, this is where I want to go. So leaky gut can recreate all these problems and many, many more. I know because technically I was there when I was in my mid-30s. I was the fitness guy. I owned and operated a facility in Coronado, California for 20 years. I was at the pinnacle of I did not have one free hour in my business. I worked with personal training and I worked with children's classes, and I was just packed. And all of a sudden I started having trouble with my GI health. That's actually one of the strongest symptoms I had. Now, eventually I went to anxiety, some depression, and all that can be related to your gut health. As a matter of fact, many people theorize that death begins in the GI system in the gut. And so it's very, very important to take care of that gut health. And how does it impact losing weight? Well, like I said, cortisol goes up. It starts to have an impact on your body's ability to have good endocrinology. If testosterone's low, the way you're carrying your weight is going to be impacted. One of the most powerful things with leaky gut is that you start to develop food allergies or intolerances. Now, intolerances is an important word to understand with leaky gut, because a lot of people think they can go in for a test and they're said, hey, I came back negative. Depending on which test you're using, you're going to find red flags. Allopathic medicine is really good at just detecting the big ones, like celiac disease, for example. If you don't have celiac, could you still be sensitive to gluten that was grown with glyphosate? Yes, absolutely. That's why the gluten sensitivity and the gluten intolerance thing blew up, because most of our gluten has been destroyed by weed killer, right? And so what starts to happen is as those particles pass through your GI wall, just like my hand, one or the other, the body has to send out a mechanism to deal with those particles. Again, poop in the bloodstream, not good. I think most people understand that. But it starts to mobilize against it and attacking itself. And that's where you can start to generate food intolerances, food allergies. Once those go up, inflammatory goes up, GI health gets even worse and worse and worse. So as you can see, leaky gut, it can completely derail any health and wellness. So what's the first thing that you can do? Well, the first thing you can do to improve this is start an elimination diet. And everyone goes, I don't want to eliminate blank, blank, and blank. I'm like, look, you can either pay attention now or when it gets worse. In general, the tendency that I see is when people have leaky gut, they ignore, they go from one pharmaceutical to another pharmaceutical, and it ramps up over and over and over until eventually they're heading towards cancers, right? After 10, 15 years of dealing with a GI, IBS, issues that they can't solve, they're struggling. Eventually, they have to pay attention to their body and what's happening with their body. So, first step, anti-inflammation diet or an elimination diet. Remove everything that's traditionally, that can create intolerances. And that's easy to Google. That's one Google search, like foods that people are highly allergic to. Start off removing that, add one in at a time, see how the body reacts. As a general rule, food should be energetic. So if you don't feel like you're getting energy from it, sleepy, bloated, gassy, there's a good chance you might be intolerant for it, and it might not even come up in a traditional allopathic medicine. And the second thing that you want to be able to do to try to improve the gut health is to seal up the GI system. So the fingers of the GI tract are much like my fingers. There's these little villi that swiggle around and help us have surface area and digest it. As we start to destroy that, it starts to flatten out and the particles go through. And so as it flattens out, it starts to lose some of its ability to absorb nutrients and increases the permeability. And so we want to seal up those that permeability. And so bone broth and L-glutamine are two things. Actually, glutamine is highly available in bone broth. And so I have a lot of my clients, and even when I was going through this, I was sipping bone broth as often as I could tolerate it. Or you could take glutamine to help seal up. It's more than just for workouts. So those are two simple things you can do to help your leaky gut. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below, or you can message me direct, or you can email me direct if you have any deeper, more complex questions you want to ask. I've been through this and I help others get through it, and you can be better than you were before. Thanks.